Welcome back to the Meddling Kids podcast, a groovy review of Scooby-Doo. Except today we're not talking about Scooby-Doo.
We are talking about Johnny Test.
That's right. Okay, so my daughter Ella is going to help us learn what Johnny Test is, and then my son, the Potter Boy, is going to review the episode...
Johnny Dukey-Doo.
Thanks, kiddo. Johnny Dukey-Doo. Okay, but first, Ella, tell it if that is your real name. Tell us, lean right into the microphone and tell us, what is Johnny Test?
Who is Johnny Test?
Fair.
He looks like his head is on fire. His hair looks orange, red, and yellow. I don't know why, but it does. And I think it's based off Calvin and Hobbes.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, Johnny Test is really funny in some ways and really gross in others. So, Johnny Test named his dog Dukey.
I
don't know why.
Okay.
But it's true. And I know that's kind of gross, but it's true.
Okay, what else do our listeners need to know so they can understand the episode?
First of all, my voice does not sound like this.
I think you established that in our last episode.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, it doesn't sound like this. So there.
All right. Anything else our listeners need to know understand Johnny Dukey-Doo?
Well, they need to know that Johnny Test is a cartoon figure.
Okay. It's not a real live boy. Now, my dear son, what's your name today?
As usual, the Potter Boy.
Oh, I didn't mean to imply that is not your real name. Nice dabbing. Okay, Potter Boy, why are we reviewing Johnny Test? Tell us all about it.
Well, Johnny Test is a show. It's not all based off of Scooby-Doo, but one episode is, and that's the episode that we're going to be reviewing today.
Who's in it? What's it about?
It's about a kid with flaming hair called Johnny, and his best friend is a talking dog, and he has two genius sisters who invent stuff and use pretty much him as a lab rat. And
sounds right.
His dad is a neat freak. His mom is always busy. There are two secret agents called Mr. Black and Mr. White who are secret agents, pretty much.
Are they bad guys or good guys?
No, they're good guys.
Okay.
They're good guys. There's a boy called Gil, who is really dumb, and Johnny's genius sisters have a super big crush on. I think this pretty much covered what we're going to be doing today.
It's a really funny show. And I'll say, when you kids first started watching it and were really into it, I was like, oh my gosh, is this whole show about crushes? Because if so, that's me throwing up. But it's really not. I mean, the whole crush on Gil thing is just like a side plot. It's really about how these two genius sisters are always performing crazy experiments, and the dog and the dog and the boy are kind of like Bart Simpson-ish characters. You haven't seen that show yet, but anyway, it's really good. And so today we're going to be reviewing the episode called Johnny Dukey-Doo, which this is on Netflix, folks, so you can go watch it. It's season 3, episode 12 of the Johnny Test show. And if you watch it, it's like the second half. So this is just 11 minutes long, the actual show. But it's so fast-paced that I kept having to pause it while we were watching it to type my notes. So take us into it.
At first, there's an intro. This one, it was a picture of Johnny's dog, Dukey.
You know that means poop, right?
Yeah.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah. Looking super like Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, and Johnny looked really scared. And it was like in Scooby-Doo colors, too.
Yeah, definitely.
Please ignore the sound of dogs running around furiously in our background. It's just how we roll.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then after that spooky intro, we see Johnny and what's the dog's name? Dukey-Doo?
Dukey.
Or is it just Dukey?
Dukey.
Okay, my notes just say boy and dog because that's easier to write. Okay, it's hard for me to say Dukey. It means poop. This is seriously going to drive me nuts. Okay, so the dog is blindfolded because Johnny's bringing him to a fun surprise.
Then Johnny tore off the blindfold right in front of a creepy old building, and he said, they're going to tear down the old Pork Belly Inn, which is the town they live in. Yeah, with demolition, and we've got front row seats. And he pulled out 2 chairs and put them
lawn chairs.
Yeah, lawn chairs, and put them right out front of the place that's getting destroyed.
They just hang out, they're eating popcorn, and they are so excited. The dog is like, thank you for this great treat. Demolition. Yeah, they are so excited until, and the mansion is totally one of these Victorian era buildings with gnarled, creepy trees around it. Totally Scooby-Doo-ish. I didn't realize that the town was called Pork Belly. That makes sense why it's called the Pork Belly Inn. And there's signs that say, keep out. But all of a sudden, Mr. Black and Mr. White show up, and they're crying.
Aww.
And because they say, because of the destruction of this 18th century masterpiece. Now, let me just describe Mr. Black and Mr. White. They are this is animated, in case we didn't say that. Okay, yeah. One is black and one is white, and is the African-American one Mr. Black?
No.
It's the other way around? All right, well, there you go. And, shows what I know, me and my prejudices. Okay, so they're gigantic men in black FBI suits and always wear sunglasses. And I think they're pretty much identical body types, except their heads are different. And they look a lot like the Men in Black. So they're that kind of secret agent, super spies. They're crying and so upset, and Johnny's just like, I wonder if there's going to be dynamite. It was great.
Yeah.
But there's no dynamite. There's just huge wrecking balls, and they're about to demolish it. And while Johnny and Dukey are saying, demolition, demolition,
2 ghosts come out, and it's hooded figures, and they have masks on. It's a red mask and a green mask, and really creepy faces. And...
yeah, they totally look like ghosts from one of the episodes, and I can't remember which. I think it was the one where they were in Chinatown in San Francisco. But just general hooded ghosts with glowing primary colored faces, basically. Yeah, it's pretty spooky. Oh, and they have chains rattling around their hands, too. So one of the drivers goes, ah! It was a really funny scream. Oh, look at those sound waves. And everyone else is like, run for your lives! And everyone's just chaotic and running away.
Yeah. And then Johnny, Tess, and Dukey run for their lives as well back to their house.
Yeah, they are really scared.
Lab.
Right.
Into their genius sister's lab.
And the girls are like, what are you talking about? They're total scullies.
Yeah.
That's someone in a TV show who doesn't believe in ghosts.
Yeah. At first, they're figuring out what to do to Johnny.
Oh, that's right. They were like, what should we do? Should we change him into a frog again? Nah, done that.
How about we cure Johnny and boys at their stupidity?
Right. Right, then he shows up and he's like, ghost. And
he's like, gal, and making really weird faces and really weird noises.
Oh, that's right. He was nonverbal for a little while.
Yeah. Like that?
Right. So the girls are like, what are you talking about, ghosts? And they turn on the news, and the newscaster, the human man, says, there's ghosts at the old Pork Belly Inn. And the mayor's like, we will get to the bottom of this mystery and get back to building a mall the town doesn't really need. Because this whole thing was to build an outlet mall. And then we hear from Mr. Outlet, who's building the outlet mall, that he is still going to go ahead with the project.
Mr. Black and Mr. White show up, and they said, we can fix this, but it may take a long time.
Right, because they are so not motivated to fix this quickly since they love this old inn. And then the parents show up. Oh, no, they didn't show up right away. We see ghosts out. The girls still aren't convinced. And we see
so they go outside.
Yeah, and we see spooky ghosts, but...
they're just the mom and dad holding clothes.
Yeah, they're hanging sheets on a clothesline.
Yeah.
That's what people did before they had dryers.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, did you hear about the ghosts at the old Pork Belly Inn? And the mom's like, we had our first date there. And the dad's like, and that's where I proposed to you, hon. And they look so romantic for a minute. And then the dad turns and yells at the kids real meanly, but don't you kids go there or you're all grounded. I love the parents in this show, by the way. I love how they turn on a dime and all of a sudden start yelling, just like real life parents. Except for your mom, because I'm perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
Johnny and the dog are super scared.
Dukey.
Johnny and Dukey. Why did they name the dog Dukey? This is the thing I can't get over. It means poop. Have we discussed this?
Yeah.
Potter, when you grow up, don't name your dog Dukey. Remember that story I told you about my friend who named her Shih Tzu feces and her mom didn't know what that meant?
Mm-hmm.
That was a terrible idea.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, she got in big trouble. So don't do that. All right. Girls are like, we're going to crack this case tonight. Let's all go out to the old haunted mansion this evening and figure it out.
And Johnny and Dukey, they're like, no, Dad said we shouldn't. We should actually listen to him this time.
Right, for like the first time in their whole lives.
And then Gil walks by, the one who the sisters have a big crush on.
Yeah, and Johnny's like, oh, we have plans to hang out with Gil. Sorry, we can't do this. But
Gil said, are you guys going to hunt the ghost? I have my own ghost catching gear.
Yeah, and he's all tricked out with like monitors and magnifying glasses.
And then he spins around and he's suddenly wearing a white shirt and a neckerchief. Yeah.
Yeah, actually. Yeah, a red cravat, just like Fred. So Gil is definitely our Fred. And Johnny and Dukey, Johnny and the dog, are still like super scared. So they're clearly Scooby and Shaggy.
Mm-hmm.
And the girls, we never really, I don't think we get to differentiate between them as a Velma and a Daphne. They're both just two random assorted girls.
I think they're mostly Velma because they're super smart.
But they both look like Daphne physically. Yeah, they actually, I wonder if when they made this show, they really did actually try to copy Scooby-Doo and like made them a mix of Velma and Daphne? Huh? Why did they name the dog Poop?
I don't know.
It's so weird. Okay, the dog's like, okay, so they go to the house and they totally break in.
As usual.
As usual. And as soon as they do, there's cobwebs, suits of armors are moving around. And Gil's like, let's separate and to cover more terrain. And Johnny's like, where have I seen this before? Johnny and the dog are walking down the hallway, and it's just like in Scooby-Doo where there's a ghost right behind them and they don't notice for a while. And the dog's like, I feel like someone's breathing down my neck.
The dog can talk.
The dog can talk, right. And he can speak clearly, not like Scooby-Doo. Mm-hmm. Maybe he's a descendant of Scooby-Doo. Who did Scooby mate with? Okay, sorry.
No, because they bewitched him. The sisters did an invention to him to make him be able to talk.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so now the ghosts look a little different, but it's still ghosts. There's a chase scene, and
instead of red and green, there's
like blue and yellow or something.
And I think turquoise.
Yeah, something. Oh, fancy.
Yeah.
So they go into a library, and the boy's like, grab a book. And the dog's like, what are you going to do? Read them to death? But the boy says, no, in these
Johnny and Dukey.
Johnny says, you don't just want, it doesn't bother you that I keep calling him boy and dog. That's what I'm going to start referring to you as. Boy. Okay. And I'll call your sister girl. And we'll call the dogs dog 1 and dog 2.
Okay.
He's like, there's always a trap door in these places. So they're throwing all the books down. And he's totally right, because they fall through a trap door.
No, it's like a turning thing. They turn to another side, then they fall down the trap door.
Oh, my mistake.
Yeah. You're so wrong. You are so wrong.
So meanwhile, Gil is telling the girls all sorts of dumb theories, like about how a mirror reflects your true personality. I don't remember.
Yeah. And then their names are Susan and Mary.
Okay.
And Susan says, man, it's a good thing you're cute.
Oh, yeah. And then they, this is totally Scooby-Doo-ish, Johnny and Dukey trick the ghosts into thinking they're at an Italian restaurant and serve them at a table just like they would in the show, and then upend like some big stock pots on the ghosts' heads and bang them with hammers to give them traumatic brain injuries, also similar to the show. Then there's more chasing, and now there's groovy music and a laugh track, and one of those scenes in a hallway where people are like running out of different doors and crossing the hallways, and it's totally like in Scooby-Doo and the Monkeys.
Yeah.
And then they fall through a trap door again.
Again.
They find old photos, including
right,
one of the
yeah.
mayor getting a deed in the or holding a deed to the inn in the 1980s
Yeah.
and giving it to some other dude.
Mm-hmm.
And I have in my notes, Gil is a dumb version of Fred, and I don't remember why. He said something really dumb, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
This show is really funny. Y'all should check it out. 2 different sets.
You have to.
You have to. I'm sorry, we're compelling you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now there's 2 different sets of ghosts haunting the inn because they all the children are in like one general area, and 2 ghosts are like, get out, and 2 other ghosts are like, no, we said get out, or this other one ghost is like, no, I said get out, I was here first.
Just appears.
And then, no, I was here first. And then the underwater glowing scuba dude from season 1 of Scooby-Doo Where Are You shows up and says, no, I was here first. And Gil's like, we need a trap. And so they set up a ridiculous trap.
And that involves a big contraption that has pretty much nothing to do with Scooby-Doo that the sisters invented.
Right, it's like, we'll start out with rollers. It starts out all old school, like Scooby-Doo. We'll start out with roller skates. They'll go down a staircase, jump onto this trampoline, and then go into our thermonuclear dynamic chamber. The trap kind of works, sort of. They miss the thermonuclear dynamic chamber, and they all land in a garden. And did you see what was on the sign in the garden? Did you see what they were growing?
What?
Sour grapes. So everyone's trapped. The girls pull the boy and the dog out of the grape patch, and Johnny and Dukey, and then they finally unmask all the ghosts. Can you tell our listeners who the ghosts were?
So, the red and green ones were Mr. Black and Mr. White.
Dun, dun, dun! Because they didn't want to see the inn torn down.
And the blue and turquoise ones were the mom and the dad.
Because that's where they were engaged and had their first date.
Mm-hmm. The next one, the next ghost was the mayor.
Who regretted selling the property back in the 1980s.
Yeah. And then the scuba dude was Mr. Outlet.
Who wanted to scare the other ghosts away so he could make some money.
Yeah.
And he says, I would have gotten away with it if it weren't for you meddling kids. Yes! I love that. It's so sweet. And Johnny's like, okay, now I know I've heard that somewhere before. And then he says to Mr. Outlet, dude, no one wants an outlet mall here. You're a salesman. You know what to do. Or you're a businessman. And it turns out Mr. Outlet, do you remember how he recoups his losses?
No.
He reopens the inn, and it looks real
Yeah.
fancy. They have a big dance party. And I gotta say, the dance party is totally similar to how they dance in Scooby-Doo.
Oh, yeah.
In other
Oh,
words,
yeah.
pretty dorky.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so, kiddo, what'd you think of this episode?
I thought it was pretty good.
It made me laugh out loud several times. I thought it was hilarious. This show is always really funny, but this episode especially was just great.
Mm-hmm.
It is so fast-paced compared to these old cartoons from when I was a kid, which, I mean, I could tell just from trying to type up the notes, and I didn't get all the jokes, and every single line is something hilarious, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it just shows that nowadays cartoons are definitely more like laugh, 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 laugh. But I still laugh. I still like Scooby-Doo better.
Yeah.
But this is pretty good. It hits the spot. I'll say that.
Mm-hmm.
This is the end of the episode. So
Yeah,
we're
we're
getting
done.
towards there. But actually, I have a surprise for our listeners.
Surprise! What is it?
That was pretty loud.
I know. I am pretty loud.
Okay, so we got this awesome triangular package from Alex Smith in the mail. Alex Smith is an artist who does comics and cartoons. Do you remember what was in this mysterious package?
A gory poster thing that me and my sister were not allowed to look at.
Exactly. Your sister actually caught a glimpse of it and then had a nightmare about zombies last night.
Really?
Yeah, but it is amazing. Alex Smith is so talented, and he sent us 2 versions of this print, and we're going to give them away to our listeners. So,
Really? Wait, does he approve on that?
yeah.
Oh,
I think he knows because we're like telling everyone about him. And what we're going to do is in the show notes to this, we're going to post links to his work. And then if you go to our Scooby-Doo and Meddling Kids discussion group on Facebook, we're going to put the contest there. So basically, any of our listeners who want can just sign up for the drawing, and then we'll pull numbers out of a hat. And I'll probably force you and your sister to do a Facebook Live video where we figure out who gets the prints.
Oh, and guys?
No begging. Were you about to beg them? How many times do I have to say, don't beg the listeners?
Okay, so let's just say, if you really want nightmares, you should really try to get this.
Yeah, no, it's not actually that spooky.
No. Well, to kids, maybe.
To kids in our family who, can't even watch the Thriller video because it's too scary.
I can.
Okay,
Not
fair. All right, your sister can't.
my sister.
Yeah, so it's not actually that spooky. It's really actually quite beautiful. If my children weren't around when you guys go to college, I will try to repurchase these and frame them. Anyway, they're super cool. Go online, we'll put pictures and everything there in the discussion group. Okay, other things we have to say. Thanks to Dave Says Tay for the use of our theme song.
Yeah.
Thanks so much to our listeners for rating us and subscribing us.
Oh, yeah.
On
You
iTunes.
listeners are pretty good.
Amazing.
Amazing, yeah.
And thanks for
close.
sharing the show with others. We'll be back next time with the first episode of Scooby-Doo Where Are You Season 3. Watch out, it's the Willow Wall. What else should we say?
Get us presents.
No. My children have plenty of stuff. They really don't need anything. But,
Mom, you hear me?
okay. Well, we hope you all have a spooktastic day.
Oh, and just remember, he would have gotten away with it if it weren't for us meddling kids and grown-ups.
Yeah!
All right, I think we're all done here. Thank you so much for your time.
We are not done. No. Okay. First of all, my voice does not sound like this. Second of all, my voice does not sound like this.